So as the votes continue to be counted in the 2020 presidential election, it is becoming more and more clear that Donald Trump really lost to Joe Biden by a substantial margin this election. We're now seeing a difference of 3.8% in the popular vote. That's just over 5.9 million votes. That's a margin that could easily exceed 6 million votes by the time all of the vote is counted. There are still some states. New York State is one example. 17% of the vote in New York is yet to be counted. New York State, a state that Joe Biden won very easily. So as we get closer to 100% in New York and a few other states, we could be looking at a 6 million vote win for Joe Biden. Now, with Georgia, not everybody has called Georgia yet. We're expecting news on Georgia today. Maybe by the time you listen to this show or watch today's clips, Georgia will have been fully certified. With Georgia, Joe Biden would end up with 306 electoral votes. That's the same number of electoral votes that Donald Trump had in 2016. Now, if you were one of the people who in 2016 said Trump won by a landslide, when Trump had 306 electoral and lost the popular vote by nearly 3 million, if that was a landslide, as Trump has proclaimed, as Kellyanne Conway has proclaimed, and many others, you have to concede that Biden winning with 306 and a 6 million vote margin has to be a doubly large landslide, right? Now, to contextualize this, if we look at most votes received in history, no candidate ever received more votes than Joe Biden did this year, other than Donald Trump, also this year. Before that were Barack Obama's 2 elections in 2008 and 2012, followed by Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now, in terms of the popular vote margin of victory, Joe Biden's victory by nearly 6 million this year is the 15th largest out of 59 presidential elections. So in the top quarter of popular vote margins, certainly up there. Nowhere near the size of some of the landslide victories we've seen Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan's wins, for example, in 1972 and 1984. Those were by 17 and 16 million votes, respectively. Not nearly that big, but it is a very solid win. And it comes at a time when the idea of a mandate and the idea of recognizing that your opponent won and now gets to govern, that idea has gone in the trash. And yet that's not what we are actually hearing at this point in time. And of course, when Joe Biden is sworn in as president, Republicans aren't going to defer to Joe Biden as if he had a mandate. I'm expecting some of the biggest, most vile obstruction from Republicans that we will see for a long time. I think it will be worse than under Barack Obama's presidency even. And there's a real question as to whether Joe Biden will even get to govern. I think that what Joe Biden will get to do, he will have the privilege of dealing with Republican obstruction for the next however many years. And the real reward that Joe Biden gets is going to be cleaning up Donald Trump's messes. And at this point, as Donald Trump has completely evaporated, he's gone with the wind, so to speak. Nobody's seen Trump for weeks at this point, other than the Leith Ring ceremony and briefly taking credit for vaccines. This is why so much is riding on the 2 upcoming Senate runoffs in Georgia. Biden will be cleaning up big messes from Donald Trump, and his ability to do it will be greatly impacted by whether Democrats control the Senate or not. Now, what's going on in Georgia? Very tight. Both races in Georgia are winnable, but they are very tight. You've got the incumbent Kelly Loeffler against Raphael Warnock race. That one right now, according to the latest polls we've received this week, it's 49-48 in Warnock's favor, 3% undecided. What does that mean? It means it's a tie. That's how we have to operate. The incumbent Republican David Perdue versus Democratic challenger John Ossoff race. It's currently 49-49 with 2% undecided. It's a tie. These races are winnable, but we have to get involved in them. So let's actually go through what we can do. We're going to be talking about these races quite a bit. I will be covering debates if there are any. It seems David Perdue has already turned down participating in debates against John Ossoff. We will be covering live results on January 5. We're taking these 2 races very seriously. If you live in Georgia, you must register by December 7th. As long as you will be 18 years old by January 5, you can register to vote. If you're 17 right now, but you will turn 18 by January 5th, you can register to vote right now. We're linking in the description to the YouTube clip for where you sign up and register to vote in Georgia. Now, early voting starts December 14th. You can request absentee ballots until November 18th. We are linking to the page on which you can do that as well. If you are in Georgia, you can volunteer to safely knock on doors and get out the vote. You can volunteer to be a poll watcher or to monitor the processing of ballots. And then if you live out of state, you can still help. You can phone bank, you can text bank. If you want to find out more about that, you can text FAIR, FAIR, to 70700. That's the Fair Fight Action group. And you can also donate to Raphael Warnock and or John Ossoff as well. So there's plenty that we can all do. These two races ultimately could decide what do the next 2 years look like for a Joe Biden presidency. We cannot I don't want to overstate the importance of these races. Unfortunately, I couldn't possibly do that because these races are of ultimate importance right now. So we're going to continue talking about that for the next several weeks and all the way through January 5th.